If tomorrow there were no social media, no one to see what you did, no one to know where you went, would you still live with the same fire you have today? We live in an age where everything must be shown. A meal, a smile, a sunrise, a moment. Each one turned into a story, a post, a proof of existence. Because deep down, people believe that if they don't share, they'll disappear. But then there are the others. The quiet ones. They post nothing. They show nothing. They need no proof. And because of that, they've become the last true mystery left in this world. If you are one of those silent souls, this message, this reflection, is for you. The only question that remains is this: are you weak? Or have you reached a kind of freedom the rest of the world has never known? The world of masks, one bong, six toodle. Look around you, everyone's performing. Smiles rehearsed, dinners staged, sunsets filtered into perfection, even pain, polished for applause. We live in a theater with no backstage. Every post, every upload, a piece of ourselves traded for attention. Marcus Aurelius once warned, "Do not lose yourself in the noise of the crowd." Yet here we are, living like actors waiting for applause that never truly fills us. A friend of mine, Daniel, once confessed, "I don't know who I am anymore. Everything I do, I wonder, will this picture get enough likes?" He smiled sadly, because deep down, we're all Daniel. We've forgotten how to live without being watched, how to laugh without an audience, how to feel without recording it. The moment you stop performing, you begin living. The moment you stop chasing approval, you begin breathing again. Someone once said, "I no longer know who I am, except for the name that exists online." That line is the tragedy of our age. When your existence depends on being seen, you've already surrendered the most precious thing you had, your sovereignty. The psychology of silence. 6 12er. But then, there's another kind of person. The quiet ones. They don't share because they understand something deeper. The price of visibility is the death of mystery. They walk among us, yet leave no digital footprints. They don't need to show, because they don't need to prove. They don't need to speak, because silence itself has become their language. Epictetus once said, "He who controls what he reveals, controls his power." And that's exactly what these silent souls do. The more they keep within, the more unshakable they become. In a world where everyone screams for attention, silence becomes the loudest voice. When you don't post, don't expose, don't perform, you make others wonder, and in that wondering, you gain control. Mystery becomes your armor, scarcity becomes your value. The quietest person in the room is often the one everyone listens to, because rarity commands attention. Those who post daily fade into the background. Those who appear once in a while make the whole world pause. This world doesn't suffer from a lack of voices. It suffers from a lack of silence, and those who remain silent make the entire world listen. Seneca wrote, "It's not the shout that makes people listen, it's the pause. Because power doesn't come from presence, it comes from the space you dare to leave empty." Freedom from dopamine and validation. 12 out. 18, science calls it the dopamine loop, the endless chase for micro-pleasure. Each like, each heart, each comment, a spark of dopamine in your brain. It feels good. Until it owns you. You stop eating because you're hungry. You eat because you need to be seen eating. You don't travel to feel alive. You travel to prove you're living. And little by little, your real life fades into the background, replaced by a highlight reel for an audience that will forget you tomorrow. Seneca warned us 2,000 years ago, "He who lives for the eyes of others has already lost his freedom." Look around. That prophecy has come true. We've built our own prisons, glowing rectangles we call phones, locked ourselves in, and thrown away the key in exchange for validation. But there are a few who refuse the trade. They eat to taste, not to post. They walk to feel, not to film. They laugh without evidence, and that, my friend, is the purest form of freedom left in this world. The power of not showing up. 18 to 24. Here's a paradox. The ones who show nothing often feel the most. They're not cold. They're simply free. They don't prove love with a photo. They don't validate happiness with a caption. They don't announce peace. They live it. I once met a man in Colorado. He said, "I quit social media 5 years ago." The silence inside my head came back. Silence isn't emptiness, it's space. A sacred space where you can finally hear yourself. Again, not showing up. Doesn't mean weakness, it means power. Because when you don't expose yourself, people can't label you, can't dissect you, can't predict you. Your invisibility becomes your armor. In a world that consumes everything at the speed of a scroll, mystery cannot be consumed, and that makes you untouchable. The Stoics called this mastery of the self. The world today might call it intelligence, when you no longer need to be seen to be accepted. You've reached the highest form of freedom there is. To not post, in this age of exposure, is a rebellion, a silent revolt. No slogans, no noise, just refusal, and that refusal confuses the system. Because you're no longer measurable, and what can't be measured can't be controlled. The Stoics had a word for this: ataraxia, unshakable calm. The modern world calls it peace. The fortress of silence, gone, 24 Mong. 28. When you stop explaining, stop performing. Stop proving, you begin to build something invisible, a fortress within. From the outside, you may look ordinary, but inside, you are untouchable. Every secret you keep, every silence you choose, is a brick in the wall that protects your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be content with the approval of your own mind, and you will never be a slave." That is the essence of Stoic freedom. When you no longer need to be understood, you can no longer be wounded. No one can destroy what they cannot see. No one can control what they cannot grasp. Your restraint becomes your strength. Your silence becomes your sovereignty. To live quietly, by choice, is to declare, "I am free." So now, ask yourself, who are you when no one's watching? If tomorrow there were no social media, no eyes, no audience, would you still live with the same passion you have today? If the answer is no, then maybe you haven't been living, you've only been performing. But those who post nothing, they've already understood this truth. They don't need the world's approval to exist. They've already approved of themselves. In silence, not posting isn't hiding, it's choosing, it's declaring. I don't need to be seen to feel alive, and maybe that is the highest wisdom of the Stoic mind in the digital age. Remember, the most valuable things in life are not the ones you share, but the ones you keep. If this message stirred something within you, like this video, not for me, but as a reminder for yourself that you choose depth over noise, truth over attention, silence over spectacle, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Stoic Tide, because this space is not for noise. It's for those who dare to think, who dare to feel, and who dare to live unseen, but never unnoticed. Leave just one word below. Silence, not as a comment, but as a promise. To yourself, to build strength in stillness, peace in the unseen, and freedom in the quiet.